Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey, hello there. Welcome. Yay! All right. We're in better shape already today. Welcome. Show happens to be coming to you live on September 15th, 2022, and we hope it won't be as absurd a program as September 14th's edition, which featured guests who you could hear, but I couldn't. Chipmunks escaping my home. So here we are. I'm feeling good. My poor guest, God bless her. She's going to try again later in the show today. Until that time, let's talk about some stuff. There's actually some good news. I mean, how often is it that oh boy, I was just hearing myself a little bit there for a second, just Kevin telling you. How often is it that we can start with good news? Because I really do. I think the good news, obviously, is the apparent heading off of this rail strike, because a rail strike obviously could bring the economy to a screeching halt. The rails, of course, are a big part of the supply chain, something that has been having some difficulty for the last 2.5 years because of COVID. And so late night talks. I mean, I think they were talking into the early hours this morning, they being the Biden administration and the rail execs and the unions that were threatening to walk. And looks like they hammered out a deal, which is a huge win. And just another in the string of good things coming out of the Biden administration. And he was personally very involved. You know, a lot of strikes people always do, they're striking for more money or something. That wasn't it at all. Only somebody who hasn't labored in the American labor market of late would think it's wages are number one issue. It's almost always other things, working conditions, the inability to live your life, schedules being changed, and no set. And in fact, I think that was the major sticking point in this case. It was literally what brought these guys to the point of being willing to walk was about the fact that they were unable to get away from their jobs to see a doctor. So it was about basic things like preventive health care and how the employers, the big rail companies, would not be flexible in allowing people to live their lives. People were literally getting fired for going to see a doctor. Even when the doctor would write a letter saying this person has to come and see me for their health. And it also has to do with the ability to be able to get off for a family emergency. These are the kinds of issues where so many employers just cruelly dig in their heels. And this is where the union dug in its heels. And the president himself, apparently, was really blown away by this number one concern. And he brought it up, according to news accounts, repeatedly, that he couldn't comprehend why workers would not be granted more flexible scheduling. And it, people can't believe the kinds of rules that so many employers impose that are ham-fisted and not family-friendly ever. And I'm so glad to see American workers really starting in so many ways to push back at the cruelty that is endemic in so much of American corporate culture and this late stage capitalism, this ugly capitalism that has come to control so much in our country and in people's lives. So, yeehaw, this is good. Now, it ain't a done deal. The unions have to agree. Apparently, indications are that they will. So, this is good news. Now, to go from that story, because if that strike happened, I mean, it would be hell just a few, less than 2 months before the midterms. Just another thing for, Republicans to use. The other story also has to do with capitalism and something so unusual, again, in American capitalism. It blew me away. I still am having trouble even believing it. It's the story, of course, about the billionaire who owns Patagonia, that store that's been around forever, that you go to buy jackets and ski wear and stuff like that. And he just up and gave the company away. And he gave it away for a purpose, so that the profits that will come from it, it'll be run by a trust, and all the profits will go to fighting climate change. He transferred ownership of Patagonia, which, by the way, is valued at over $3 billion, to a trust that he and his, guys designed, and also to this nonprofit charitable organization that will then take the money and put it to good use. He said, as he did it, hopefully this will influence a new form of capitalism that doesn't end up with a few rich people and a bunch of poor people. Well, I think he's pie in the sky there, because the odds of others following him are really negligible. But the more I read about it, I thought, there's got to be a catch. When I first read about it, there's got to be a catch. And there isn't. I guess the way they pulled this off is they took the voting stock, which he and his children controlled, and which amounts to 2% of the overall shares in the company. And that's what he gave it away. They donated it to this trust. Now, billionaires, one thing they're really good at doing is when they give money away, they kind of make money too. You give money away and you get these huge tax dodges, or benefits, as they're called, I guess. There is no tax benefit to this guy at all for what he did. In fact, he's paying a pretty penny to do this because he's actually having to pay over $17 million in taxes for making this huge gift. And then the other stock, the non-voting stock, which comprises most of the stock, 98% of it, then goes to this nonprofit. And that nonprofit is all about combating damage to our globe. And because it will be involved in making political contributions in that effort, he could get no tax benefit at all for the donation. They said the only time anybody else has done something like this, it was a Republican. Listen to this. But listen to the difference. A guy named Barry Side, who also has a ton of money, and he gave away his company also for philanthropic and political purposes. But he did, of course, what rich people are used to doing. He gave 100% of his company to a nonprofit. And by doing it in the way he did, he got a huge personal tax windfall for it. That's what the guy at Patagonia, who, by the way, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. I'm going to say it's Chouinard. I don't know if it's pronounced in a French way because it looks like a French name, but it looks like Yvon Chouinard. So this guy never wanted to be a billionaire. He became a billionaire just by being a good business person. He always wanted to run a business that treated his employees like human beings. Patagonia was one of the first companies that really started paying attention to where the raw materials of its products were coming from. One of the first to start using organic cotton. One of the first to have on-site child care. That kind of thing. You know what made him start thinking, I can't do this anymore? Forbes magazine listed him on its list of billionaires. And he said, that really pissed me off. I mean, because he doesn't ever think of himself as a billionaire. As he said, now I have $1 billion in the bank, and I mean, I don't drive Lexuses. In fact, he famously wears sort of raggedy old clothes, and he drives a beat-up Subaru. He has 2 homes, he does, but they're modest, one in Jackson, Wyoming, and one in Ventura. So he started thinking, I don't want to be a ED billionaire. And so he spent a lot of time in the last few years figuring out how he could give it away, but have it go to a good cause so that he could sleep at night. And he has 2 adult children who apparently didn't want to be given the company either, who completely agree with everything he's doing. It was very important to them that they not be seen as being somehow beneficiaries of this. They think, as does he, that every billionaire represents a policy failure. So, God bless him. God bless him. And would that others would follow. Would that others would follow. But I don't know about you. I ain't holding my breath. Oh, hysterical headline today in the Post-Gazette. I got to share it with you. I mean, I don't know. Some of you will get why it's hysterical. It actually said, this was the headline, traffic restrictions begin on Route 28. What? I thought, is this some kind of... I mean, there have been traffic restrictions on Route 28 since I moved to this town 40 plus years ago. Traffic restrictions begin on Route 28? Well, obviously the story is about a different part of Route 28 now will be, you'll be stymied in attempting to get from point A to point B. Oh, God. You know how I pointed out that, this is a long time ago, that I said that if you read the New York Times, not digitally, but the actual paper product, that in the art section where the crossword puzzle is and the Sudoku is, do they still have Sudoku? Yeah. And these other puzzles, they run this little thing from Jeopardy. I understand why it would all be placed there, because the people who do these kinds of puzzles are also probably inclined, if they watch television, to watch, Jeopardy. So they always have a box there that has Jeopardy clue of the day. And they give you one of the clues that will be on the show tonight. And they also give you then the answer to yesterday. So it's only a spoiler in that you see the clue. You don't get the answer. And I have to say that if anyone in Pittsburgh were not to get this one right, shame on you. It's definitely a Pittsburghy thing. All right, I'll share it with you. Okay, you know it anyway. The category is U.S. colleges and universities. And here's the clue. Founded as a technical institute in 1900, its sports teams are the Tartans, and its official mascot is a Scottish Terrier. I don't know. If I did not live in Pittsburgh, I don't think I'd know that. I was going to say I wouldn't have a clue, but in fact, yes, I have a clue. I wouldn't know the answer. But so it'll be interesting if you watch it tonight. I will not be able to because I'm heading off something to do something this evening. But it'll be interesting to see if people who are not Pittsburghers know the answer to that one. Just saying, apropos of nothing. Okay. Oh, here's some good news, too. My God. I can't take all the good news. The New York Attorney General has told Donald Trump and his despicable progeny to get lost, that she is not accepting this offer they made to her to settle out of court, of course, a little problem, which is that they're grifters. And the fact that she refuses to settle with them can only mean one thing. She's going to charge him. Now, who she's going to charge, this definitely sets the stage for the filing of a suit, which would be accusing Trump, the business owner, of fraud. Well, I mean, come on, duh. I mean, almost every business he sets up is fraudulent. The ones that are still standing, the ones that don't go belly up immediately. I mean, the guy is a fraudster from A to Z. And those in the know say that the New York Attorney General is also likely to go after one of his children. It's not clear which one. All have been executives at his drifter company, the Trump Organization. They've desperately, the Trump guys have desperately been trying to get this settled so it doesn't go to a jury. So I got a feeling that they're going to get, we're going to see a suit by the Attorney General of New York against the Trump Organization. And this would be, I think this is the one. There's so many, like you do lose track. One of the reasons the labor market probably is so good now is that every lawyer in the country is assured of a job, because if you can't find anything else, you can always go work for Donald Trump on one of his 700,000 potential lawsuits or indictments. Yeah. So anyway, I was happy to see that. I think this, though, is the one about him overstating his wealth. You're kidding. You mean he lies about how much he's worth? So there's that, and that's good news. I mentioned yesterday that I had seen this YouTube thing. I guess Bob from Braddock had put it out there on social media, and then I saw it where I was on a show that I forgot existed on WQED called On Q. And I mentioned this yesterday. And Aaron writes that he actually happened to see it as well. And he pointed something out that I failed to point out. He said one of the funniest things about looking at that show, which was 20 years ago, so over 20 years ago or something, was that on the show, Lynn Cullen, was decrying the use of foul language. Yeah, well, I need say no more. Yes, I was. At the time, I had an 8-year-old child. So I guess I hotly said, well, to be listening to the radio. And I mean, we're talking about radio. So what could it have been? I mean, that's still FCC. You still couldn't have said any of you still can't. The bad words. The reason I can say the bad words is because I'm not on a broadcast. And I was saying, my son, people are listening in their cars. They have children. I couldn't believe it. I'm looking at myself. I think I even said, it's people who use that kind of language are showing their lack of a vocabulary. There is no reason to resort. Oh my God. So And God, that was the one yesterday where I was telling you that I couldn't stand the sound of my own voice, which, and I had to turn it off. And I could really see how people couldn't stand it. And maybe I was really reacting more to, not only was it the sound of my own voice, but it was the sound of my own voice saying something so hypocritical. Unbelievable. The obits are my thing. I love them. And I've noticed more and more that people in their obituaries, they have their name and then they have what everybody knows them as, their nickname. So there's a lot of John so-and-so, and it says in parentheses, Jack. And it reminded me of how often people are given names that they don't use. Why do we do that? I mean, I have one. I don't use my name. I don't even use the two names I was given. I was named Ida. Oh, yeah. Gene Collier just did a cute little piece in the PG about how much he hates his name. But some of most of them are not, but here's a guy named Dennis who everybody called Bra, B-R-A. It says Dennis, I won't give the last name. So, Dennis Crowley, Bra. And there's Richard Dundon, Dickie, but that makes sense. Here's one that's different. Samuel Hicks Friedman, the Colonel. Now, I happen to know somebody who knows the Colonel. I happen to know his nephew. And this guy's a character, was a character. And here's what I love. Joseph Halder, or as those who know him knew him, Screamin' Joe. I love it. I love it. Do you have one of those? And, you sort of wonder why. I still don't understand it, how people name their children something that they really don't even intend to ever call them. From day one, they're using a diminutive of the name, or they're coming up with something totally out of whole cloth. And that immediately creates a problem for said child. I've told the story many times. I went to kindergarten and I didn't even know my name. I thought my name was this family nickname. Everybody in my family called me, I know it sounds stupid, but Ninu. So the teacher, what's your name? Ninu Miller. Well, that wasn't it. Ida. Good effing God. Unbelievable. All right, guys, I got to tell you, we're about to do something that I know seems like an easy thing to do. But given what happened yesterday, the fuck knows. There, see, I just threw that in gratuitously because of what I was talking about before. Anyway, I have a guest. This poor woman. Some of you actually have heard Abbe Tanenbaum already, even though you didn't know her name, because she was desperately trying to be heard yesterday, and you heard her, that I didn't. Here goes nothing. Let me see if I hear.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, yes. The dulcet tones.
Great.
Abby, first, apologies, you poor thing. I can't imagine.
Oh my God.
No
worries at all.
Out
I'm
of
just
your
glad
ears.
it wasn't.
Okay.
No, I'm glad it wasn't my that's my baby.
Definitely. Oh God, no. I'm quite. My guess is it was my fault. I have no idea. But here we're
here now.
Working. We are here now. Whew. Abbe Tanenbaum. I don't know this woman from Adam, but I'm going to see her because she is going to be on stage at Off the Wall Theater, this marvelous theater in Carnegie that just puts on the most wonderful stuff. And she's not only going to be on stage, but you wrote the play. That's
I did.
That's a lot. I mean, wow. So the play is called, and I mean, this is, guys, I wouldn't have necessarily, I don't necessarily do plays. I don't do this a lot. One of the reasons I'm doing this is because of how timely it is. And how much what it's dealing with. And again, I haven't seen it yet, so I'm sort of talking about something I don't know, but I know that access to women's health care has a lot to do with this. And the title is What Kind of Woman? So did this come about as a result of the current, this was obviously written before the Supreme Court struck that. Yeah. I mean, it had been. So give me a little history here.
Sure. So actually, I started working on this in 2016. So it's been a long time coming, and it's ironic because when I first started working on it, I was like, I better hurry up before, reproductive health care isn't an issue for people anymore, and this play is obsolete. Laughing.
I mean, you were you mean you were thinking it would be obsolete because it would be so ingrained. It would be no one would imagine
so accessible that it wouldn't. It would just be kind of passé. It's like, an issue that was from the back in the day that we figured out and no longer need to talk about because it's solved.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
And so it's just kind of, the timing has been, in a serendipitous, very odd way. It's all kind of coming together at the perfect time. I mean, I obviously could never have planned it this way, nor would I have chose to plan it this way, but it has become more timely. The timing really has become quite poignant. And it's even funny how what's been written, how it changed, because, we were working on this and workshopping it when, Roe was overturned. And we even ended up changing the time period of the play. It was set in 2016 and we moved it back 3 years to 2013 because it was almost, the younger character is kind of apolitical. And it was in 2013, we felt was more of a time that it was safer to be apolitical. Not safer, I shouldn't say. We were more asleep. We were less aware. Whereas, in 2016 was kind of when Trump started running, and we all know how that went. And so I think that really woke up a political consciousness, particularly in my generation, around that time. So setting it a little earlier kind of helped feed that chosen, ignorance, I guess.
So there are two characters. There's an older woman, and there's you, this young woman.
Yes. Yeah. So the play is. Oh, please.
No. You go ahead.
Yeah. The play is about. I'll give everyone a quick synopsis so you know what I'm talking about. I'm like living in this world, so I forget sometimes. It's a dramedy about choices, the choices we make for better or for worse. And so what happens is aging feminist and lifelong quote unquote collector, Nora, has a final opportunity to reconnect with her estranged son. And to get ready for his visit, she hires Anne, who is an actress and personal organizer, to come and help organize her apartment. And as they go through the things she's collected over a lifetime, things that haven't been dealt with come up. And it just is kind of dealing with that gray area of life.
Well, the things that can't be, I don't want to give too much away, but obviously they have to do with abortion, no?
Yes. Oh, yes, they absolutely do. I mean, and what inspired this entire show was back in 2014, I think, 2014, 2015. Because I actually am a personal organizer as well as an actor. So I worked with a client in New York.
Wow. So this is autobiographical?
I would say inspired by true events, but a lot of things that happened didn't really happen.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you in another lifetime, besides writing plays and acting, you were a personal organizer in New York.
Yes. When I lived in New York, I was a personal organizer because, I mean, being an actor is a freelance kind of job, and so you need to find something to fill in the in between spaces. And so I've always been a good organizer, and I just made a website and started putting it out there, and people started hiring me, and it's like a really amazing space you get to come into with people because they are showing you the things they don't normally show people, and so you kind of get it's like a window into their private selves. And so I ended up working with this one client who is the inspiration for Nora. I wouldn't say everything that Nora does in this play, this woman is or does or believes, but she was the spark for me. And
so tell us
when I was
tell us about her. Yeah, tell us about
she is
that
the
woman.
best. She is an old New York broad, and just a hoot and so funny. And she would just break out into song. And she was really a big activist in the 60s and 70s. And she actually worked in an underground abortion clinic that eventually, so she worked in this clinic pre-abortion becoming legal in New York State.
Yeah, pre-Roe.
So it was actually underground illegal, but even pre-New York. So then it became legal in New York, but it was pre-Roe still. And so it was illegal in New York or in the United States, but it was legal in New York State. So women were coming from all over the country to get abortions in New York State. And we were going through our paperwork, and we found all these letters from women all over the country, telling their story and asking for an abortion and being like, this is why I need it. I already have 3 kids, or my husband is an alcoholic, or I was raped and I thought, the man would marry me, and he skipped town, and basically all asking for help, all asking for the same thing, but for varying reasons. And we just kept finding these letters, because it's a lifetime of stuff, and she's got paperwork everywhere, and we're sorting. Oh, we find another letter. And we ended up getting quite a stack of them by the time we were done going through all of her paperwork. And then after I left, I just couldn't stop thinking about them. And I'm walking down the street thinking about these letters. And so finally I just called her and was like, hey, I don't know what I want to do with them. And I get this is if you don't want to do this, that's completely fine. But would you ever consider giving them to me? Because I feel like I want to make something out of them. And she was like, oh, sure, whatever. She didn't necessarily want to keep them herself, but she didn't want them to go in the garbage either, was basically her middle ground of it.
Sure.
So she gave them to me. And I went over and I interviewed her, I just recorded on my phone and interviewed her experience, working in the clinic and what was that like. And she was the welcome party. She would bring women in and sit with them and kind of be a counselor and moral support for them as they were going through this process. Because a lot of women would come by themselves, especially if you're traveling from far away. Just about 60% of women that get abortions then and now already have children. It's not like someone has to stay at home with those kids or someone has to be taking care of them. So a lot of times they're making this journey by themselves. And, she was there to be that extra moral support for them and kind of let them know what was going to happen and let them know that they were safe and they were going to be taken care of. Because I think, particularly with making abortion illegal, it just makes it unsafe. Women are still going to do it. It just makes it harder. And the people that are affected the most are, the people that need the help the most. They're, people that live in poverty or at or below the poverty line. we're so having to travel it's like it takes them a month to raise the money to even afford the procedure, to afford to travel, especially if you're doing, 24-hour waiting periods or whatever. Like that's just adding cost to what they need to do. Women don't come, or people don't come. They don't make these choices lightly, as you can see from these letters. But once they make their choice, they know what they want to do. And really, you're just standing in the way. It's always put under the guise that they're helping women, we're helping them, so they don't make the wrong decision. Let me tell you, they don't need your help. They're smart. They know what they want to do. They need access. That's it.
Wow. So is this woman still alive?
She is still alive, yes. Living in Chelsea.
Has she seen or will she see the play?
I don't know. I've emailed her a couple of times, but I'm not sure if she's going to be able to, just because of like health stuff. I mean, we've been working. She's older now than she was when I started, so hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I'm scared and excited if she can come. Yeah.
Well, the showing at the Carnegie stage, which is the name of I said Off the Wall. It's Off the Wall Productions, and it's the Carnegie stage, right?
Carnegie stage. Yes, exactly.
At the Carnegie stage in Carnegie. I have been to a number of productions there, and I must say, it is just it's a wonderful facility, just wonderful.
It's a dream.
Is this the premiere coming up?
Yes. This is we have our premiere. So we open this next Friday, the 23rd at 8 p.m. And then we'll have a show Saturday, the 24th at 8 p.m. with a talk back afterwards. And then we'll have a matinee on Sunday, the 25th at 3. And then one more week, the following week, we have shows Thursday through Saturday.
Okay.
Please come.
I have, yes, really. So wait, I do want to, the talk back, you say, this is the kind of play because it is so topical, because it is on a topic that is informing so many people to become involved in the political realm now, and it's expected to have a huge impact on this upcoming and extraordinarily important election. So after the play, a talkback is when you and the other actress, who I must say is one of the founders of Off the Wall Productions, right? And an incredible actress. Yes.
Yeah.
So you will then talk to the audience, but I understand that somehow Planned Parenthood is involved in this?
Yes. Well, they're involved twofold. One is that $5 from every ticket that we sell will be donated to Planned Parenthood for the entire run, which is pretty exciting. And then also, they will be coming to one of the talkbacks. So, I'm a playwright. I've done a lot of research regarding abortion and reproductive health care, but they are the true experts. So we're excited to have them there because they'll be able to answer any more specific questions that maybe I don't have the information for. So it'll be twofold. We'll be talking about the play itself, and then also just talking about reproductive health care and kind of what we can do as individuals moving forward to make sure that it's still an option.
Hard to believe. Still an option.
It makes me sick. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, you the timing, as you said, is serendipitous for you and for your production, but it will become part of helping a much larger cause right now, because people are much more receptive to hearing about the reality on the personal level of these legislative efforts to control women's bodies. As you know, news accounts of what's happening now as a result of Dobbs. And 2 days ago, West Virginia just pretty much wiped out abortion in that state. You have Lindsey Graham making quite clear that the Republicans, if they control the Congress, will make abortion illegal throughout the country.
It is terrifying. It is truly terrifying. And all of the research just shows that all of the decisions they're making them on emotional decisions. It's so funny. Women are so emotional. They're making all of these choices based on emotional decisions or religious decisions. And hypothetically, we're supposed to live in a country that it isn't bound by religion, which obviously we know isn't true, but we could do our best to kind of strive for that goal. But all the science, first of all, there aren't very many scientific studies about this, but the most recent and best one is one called the Turnaway Study by Dr. Diana Green Foster. And she did research starting in 2007, which is insane that it took that long for someone to do a comprehensive study on this. But she studied 1,000 women, clinics all over the country. They made sure that it was women, that they split it 50-50. So it was women that were going to get abortions, 50% were able to have the procedure, and 50% were just over the time limit and were not able to have the procedure and carried the child to term. And then they followed those women for 5 years and checked in with them every 6 months. They also pulled all their credit records. They did extensive studies like, how does this affect women economically? How does it affect them with their relationships? How does it affect them, in all these different areas? In the past, the studies have always grouped women that want abortions in with women that that have planned pregnancies that want to carry them to term, which is a completely different experience of pregnancy. And the funny thing is, if these people, the real study that we need, or the real question we should be asking ourselves is, instead of this question of does abortion harm women, it should be, how does the lack of abortion harm women and children? We live in a world where the maternal mortality rate in America, we're fifth in the world, behind Colombia, Latvia, Mexico, and Costa Rica. So it's far more dangerous to carry a pregnancy to term, particularly if you find out about it late, you haven't been taking your prenatal vitamins and all of that kind of stuff. Your likelihood of having something pretty serious happen to you during delivery is high.
Incredible, really incredible. Well, I can tell you in doing this project and this work have learned a lot, some of it unhappily. Some of it unhappily.
Oh, yeah. Makes me just really angry.
Sure, I absolutely does. But as an actress, but as you say, the character you play is sort of like, not. You have to play somebody who is not an activist, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's
it was hard to write her scenes because I wanted to make sure, particularly for Anne, the character that I play, the younger character, that she is apolitical. She's not anti-choice. She just thinks, you should be prepared and take responsibility for your actions. She thinks you're an idiot if you get pregnant. She thinks you should be able to have an abortion if you want one.
Yeah.
But come on, get your life together. Don't put yourself in that position.
Sure.
And because I really wanted to explore that gray area, there are people that are pro-choice, and say, never for me, I would never do that, but I think it should be legal, which, hey, I will take that. If that's what you want to give and you want to vote for that, fine. But I think that also can kind of lead to a dangerous complacency, and kind of a wake-up call that it can happen to anyone. It's not really it's not just careless people, you know,
exactly,
and that's
true.
kind of
right.
Hopefully,
yeah,
you know, to have the empathy.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Well, I am so looking forward to seeing this. I want other people to see it as well. So let's tell them how do you get tickets to what kind of woman at the Carnegie stage?
Yes. You can go to, what did you say?
No, I'm sorry.
You can go online. No. You can go online, go to carnegiestage.com, and you can get tickets there. Order them online. You can call Carnegie Stage. We would say get the seats are limited, so make sure you get tickets in advance if possible. We have shows Friday the 23rd to Sunday the 25th, and then we're back Thursday the 29th to Saturday the 1st. Please come and check this out. This is actually our first world premiere production, and then we're actually taking this production to New York City to do a run off Broadway. So you'd really be able to get in and see this, you know, and it's like just beginning to spread its wings, which is we're so lucky to have this here. We're so lucky to have the supportive Pittsburgh audience that are coming out to support the show. You know, Off the Wall and Carnegie Stage already have a great fan base because of the beautiful work they've already done. Yeah. And we're lucky to be and the thing is that theater is live. Like, the audience is a part of the experience of a show. So this will, you know, how people react to these shows may inform changes we make to the script before we bring it to New York. Which is pretty exciting. You know, there are places we want people to laugh, places we don't want people to laugh. And, you know, the audience gives us that feedback in real time, and then we can adjust what we need.
Oh, I know. You know, so I'm going to come and I'm going to laugh inappropriately at certain times.
And then I'm just going to move some lines around. See what I can do.
All right. Hey, listen, I can't wait to see it. I hope others join me. And again, carnegiestage.com, right? Just wonderful. Abbe, looking forward to seeing you and the play.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for hanging in there for a few days just to get heard. I appreciate that.
No problem. So, I'll do anything to get heard, Lynn.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you, Abbe. Thanks.
Have a great one.
Okay.
Bye.
You too. Bye-bye. Abbe Tanenbaum. All indications are this is a really, really not only timely, but a fascinating. I'm starting to get out and about more. I've told you that. So yes, I'm going to plays. I'm going to a lecture tonight. I've decided, you know, wear a mask. Got my booster, the most recent one. I'm back out. I'm living. Yes, sirree. So, and I have to, speaking about getting out and about, good God. You know, one of the things in City Paper that people really enjoy because you can participate in it is the Best of Pittsburgh issue. And I believe that's coming out soon, any minute. And the thing is, there's a party. It's the party I want to invite you to. And if, like me, you're getting out and about. So the party is all the winners, and there's lots of stuff, and it's invariably fun. And it's now back because the Best of Party has been gone for the last 2 years because of the you know what. Let me tell you when it is so that it's on a Thursday, September 29, which is coming up. I hate to tell you. Yeah. The 29th. And it will be from 7 to 10. Although if you purchase a VIP ticket, you can go from 6 to 7 and hang with the VIPs. I don't know. And there's just stuff to win, and food, drink available, and all that. So, if you're looking to get out and about and be with, some of the movers and shakers, because that's who ends up winning all the categories and stuff. The Pittsburgh City paper, Best of Party. It's at the Roxy Theater. Oh, wait, that's right. The Roxy Theater. Where the hell is that? In McKees, in McKees Rocks? In McKees Rocks. Good God. I've never been there. Oh, God, I just pulled it up. Is that a cool looking venue? Wow. Look at that. That is so cool. That's in McKees Rocks. It looks like an old, wondrous, oh my God, the Roxy Theater in McKees Rocks. Just saying. I'm sorry, I'm looking at it. It's on Chartiers Avenue, McKees Rocks. Just saying. Wow. A lot of us don't get out and about enough. I'm speaking for myself totally here. Wow. Jeez. And there's something else I have to tell you. A few other things I have to tell you. Hang on. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I came upon this and I thought it was two things that I think are just wonderful. This was in somewhere that I read, and I just love it. You know how sometimes, activists and other groups have tried so hard to rein in the excesses of the way police do their job. And so often, police doing their job harm innocent people, which is hardly what the mission of policing is. Last I heard, it was to protect innocent people. But as we know, and the papers and the news shows are full of incidents of police harming innocent people while supposedly policing. And from Black Lives Matter to all kinds of social justice movements, the efforts to get police departments to change their ways have largely been, I don't know, from the looks of things, not particularly successful. So when I heard that we're seeing little by little success, but it's because I love this. Corporate America, the worst of the worst of corporate America, the effing insurance companies. They're now bringing the hammer down on the cops. Because when the cops harm an innocent person, that person and or his or her survivors end up suing the police department. And they win a lot. And so cities and police departments are having to, they're supposedly paying out $1 million settlements. Well, it's the insurance company. They have insurance for this kind of bad policing. And the insurance companies are starting to say, hey, no, we're not covering this. It's happening too often, and we're not covering it. And if you want us to cover this, we're raising your premiums up to here. And so amazingly, a lot of cities, and they tend to be mid-sized and smaller cities who have been hiding behind their insurer, they have cleaned up their acts. Because if a jury award comes in, they are already on notice that their insurance company is not covering this thing or that thing. Sorry. You shoot an unarmed guy in the back, we ain't covering that. You doing a high-speed chase for no particular reason, who mow over a pedestrian, guess what? We ain't covering it. And so there's been change, little by little. I'm just saying, unlikely place, but I don't give a damn where it comes from. Insurance companies have the leverage. And finally, just one little thing before I leave you. I came upon this. Some guy's written a book about crying and why one cries and what happens when one cries physically, emotionally, blah, 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 blah. And it turns out that the tears that we shed emotionally, because we're hurt, because we're angry, because whatever, because we're happy, because there are happy tears too, are different than the tears we shed if, let's say, something gets in your eye. They are different. I know they seem the same, but they are different. The tears that are shed because of emotion have a higher concentration of protein in them. And the result of having a higher concentration of protein makes them fall down your cheek more slowly. How bizarre is that? And so because tears coming down more slowly are more affecting to somebody seeing your tears. I got to tell you, stuff like that is just mind-blowingly amazing. Wow. Just wow. All right. Well, that's it for me. Thank you very much. I'm starting my weekend. I can't wait. And I'll talk to you guys again on Monday. Bye-bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.